Slamcast. 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 Welcome. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Slamcast. I'm your host, Greg. Let's get right into it, shall we? Gonna try and keep this episode short and quick because I kind of left this recording to the last minute. And now the Game of Thrones season finale and Silicon Valley season finale starts in like just half an hour. So yeah, I'm just gonna not frantically go through the topics, but I'm gonna try and keep it simple and light. And yeah, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, how y'all doing today? Hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good week. It's starting to pour like really heavy out right now. Like I just went and put some old excuse me. It's hot up here. Put some diesel in the old carmometer. Car is what I'm actually saying. I thought that would be a funny joke. I don't know if it was funny or not, but I'm going to start calling cars carmometers now. So put some diesel in the old carmometer. So yeah, and then when I started driving back, I was like, oh shit, it's getting like clouds out there, getting kind of dark. And it's like, you know, when it's like, you get that feeling in the air of like just the increased like humidity or something. And you're like, it's going to rain soon. I can feel it. Kind of like that. So yeah, and then now it's starting to look pretty bad out there. So hopefully it doesn't get too bad. I mean, it is summer, so it should stay fairly light. But yeah, I just want to quickly get this out of the way before we really get into it today. I want to thank everybody for, if you have, listening to my previous episode, if you want to call it that. I don't want to really refer to it as such, but it's of similar format. So, I mean, it makes sense to. It wouldn't make sense to kind of refer to something else. Basically, if you listen to my last sort of recording I did about my father and those things, I want to thank you very much for listening to it. Whether you listened to it the day it went up or you listen to it a year from now. You know, just thanks for taking the time and listening to me talk about, you know, my hardships or whatever you want to call it. I was actually very unsure about uploading that. I think I mentioned that in the recording, but it was actually kind of funny because I did the recording and it even took me like a solid half hour. Like I was just sitting here in front of the microphone, just kind of staring it down, being like, oh, I don't want to do this, which also made me kind of be more like, I should do this kind of thing. But that's besides the point. Well, it's not besides the point, but like I did the recording. I did the recording and then I was kind of like, wow, that felt really good. Like, do I even want to put this out there? Like, it's essentially two steps to that whole thing was me actually recording it, and then after that being like, I'm kind of happy just talking about it even if nobody listens to it. So do I want to do this? Like, am I comfortable with this? Just kind of putting myself out to the internet and to everyone. Because like I mentioned, I don't necessarily enjoy talking about those kinds of things because I feel like it puts people down and stuff. But I kind of didn't mention it to anybody, and I had it sitting on my hard drive for almost a solid 24 hours. Well, I'd say I had it sitting on there for 12 plus hours. And I hadn't really talked to anybody about it. And then I talked to my mom about it, and paraphrasing, she didn't say this fully, but paraphrasing, she was just like, fuck it, do it. Like, whatever, it's going to happen. And I was like, you know what, you're right. So I put it up there, and I've heard, I don't want to say good things from people, but it wasn't bad things either. But people have spoken up to me about listening to it, and stuff like that. So, I'm glad I put it up now. But that's all behind us, and I don't want to ramble about that for too long because it's a whole 30-minute segment of me talking about that. So let's keep moving on. But yeah, I just wanted to tie that all off by just saying thanks. If you listen to it, thank you. And if you didn't listen to it, hey, there's no problem there. It's a pretty depressing thing I made. So, if you don't want to watch it or listen to it for whatever reason, no problem here. I was just glad that I did it in the first place. But yeah, speaking of my mother, because of what last week's episode, if I want to call it that, man, I'm sweating buckets. It's hot up here. It's a hot summer. It's a hot summer one. It's a hot summer, folks. Anyways, I went to see Finding Dory with my mother. That was a good movie. It was not really what I was expecting. Like we've all seen, not we've all seen, but I've seen Finding Nemo. That was a good story. And I honestly wasn't sure how they were gonna take this one, because Dory's for those of you who don't know, Dory's the fish character from the Finding Nemo movie who suffers from short-term memory loss. So you have a movie centered around somebody with short-term memory loss who has who's looking for her parents and has short-term memory loss, and it's kind of, at least from the trailers, it kind of seems as though she's going the adventure alone. It's like, well, she's got short-term memory loss. Like, how the hell are they going to do that? And I thought they did it really well. And I was kind of afraid. I wasn't afraid, but I kind of considered the fact that I was like, oh, this might be really similar to Finding Nemo, just with a different main character. But it really wasn't. At the beginning, it kind of feels like that. There's one scene at the beginning, or the first little bit kind of feels like it's like that, but then it takes a complete twist. Something I didn't expect at all. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Also, for those of you that may be thinking, oh, I'll see Finding Dory eventually, it's probably just a kiddie movie because it's Pixar or whatever. And like, you're not wrong thinking that. Pixar has, most of their movies are very more child than they are like adult oriented. But man, there are some serious bits in there and some parts where I like genuinely got anxious and like teary-eyed and stuff. Like that movie got sad and that movie got serious a lot, like way more than I expected. Whew. Emotional roller coaster, that one. So yeah, if you're considering watching it, go for it. Whatever. It was also interesting too because I saw it with my mother during sort of like matinee hours. So it was sort of like, I want to say 5 o'clock-ish we had to go see it. And so most of the theater was children and with their parents. Man, some of those kids laughed at, I don't want to say the weirdest stuff, but they laughed a lot at like really childish things. And it kind of put a smile on my face, but at the same time I was like, some of these kids laugh really loud. They better not ruin my movie experience because they're laughing too loud and too much like children with their high-pitched laughs. But no, it was mostly for the trailers, and then when the actual movie happened, there wasn't any sort of moments. I don't know, maybe I was just so sucked into the movie. But man, kids laugh at a lot of stuff, and children's laughter really puts a smile on your face. It makes you feel good on inside, not in the creepy way. But yeah, moving on from that. So yeah, that's one of my weekly recommendations. Actually, I'm going to throw in my other weekly recommendation. This website that I found called jetsetradio.live. So jet, J-E-T, set, S-E-T, radio, R-E-R-A-D-I-O, R-E-D-I-O, idiot, .live, .L-I-V-E. For those of you that don't know, Jet Set Radio is a fairly old video game that I want to say originally came out for the Dreamcast. So that's like, I want to say 15-ish years ago this game came out. And the whole premise of the game is like you're a graffiti artist and you go around tagging stuff, and there's like a main character in the story who's like a DJ, and he like kind of announces what's what in the city in terms of like turf wars and stuff. And like, I don't want to say apparently because I feel like I've kind of listened to it now, but the music in that game, there are a few games out there. Oh, dang it. Hold on. Gotta get this phone off. Anyways, sorry about that. Might edit that out. Maybe not. Whatever. Anyway, so Jet Set Radio, it's one of those few games out there where the soundtrack is just killer. There's always those few games every few years that come out and where the soundtrack alone is just as good, or if not better, than the actual video game. And I feel like Jet Set Radio is one of those games where it just has a killer soundtrack. So what this website does is essentially just sort of a streaming website where all it does is, I'm not sure if it just plays music from the game or if it plays music from the game and then music by the same artist, or sort of music that would fit that sort of realm of the game and its soundtrack. But yeah, I've put it on a few times while I'm just surfing the net or whatever, and it's a really sort of uppity, funky type of playlist, and you can kind of just skim through songs, and it has a bunch of weird features to it. Like there's a chat room, and it tells you how many people are currently on the website. So I don't think everybody listens to the same song. And it's got some animated wallpaper backgrounds sometimes that like kind of cycle through while you're listening. It's really neato, really nifty, really neato website. I'll throw it in the description when I get the chance. Speaking of computer techie garbage things that you probably don't care about, that I care about too much, I got a second monitor this week. And oh boy, I love me a second monitor. And I got one of those curved monitors too, which kind of throws off the whole balance of my other monitor that isn't curved. So you basically have one monitor that has like the nice slight curve to it, which I'm kind of enjoying. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about the curved monitor, but I'm kind of digging it now. Could also just be the fact that it's like slightly better quality than my current monitor in terms of just color. I don't know. It could be also because I've screwed around with the color settings on the new monitor, so it just instantly looks better than my old monitor. But yeah, you got the curvedness, and then when it goes and turns into the next monitor, it's just like line. Like you can easily tell just by sitting at my desk. It's like curved line. Kind of throws it off, but whatever. But yeah, the one monitor that I've had since the beginning, I didn't even get this monitor for my new PC that I built last year. I've had this monitor since the beginning of university, and that was for gaming at my university dorm. This is like a 4-year-old monitor. So yeah, that's where I was going with that story is, when I had my laptop, before my laptop broke and I had to build my own PC, sometimes I would hook up, or I got to a point at school when I would hook up my laptop to this monitor. So I kind of had I technically had a dual screen setup there, but it was like this nice, huge 24-inch monitor and then my 15-inch laptop. So it was a huge change. So my laptop screen was always kind of like a backup screen, kind of just somewhere to throw Windows. It was never my priority one when I had my big monitor. So I'm kind of used to that dual monitor life, but now that I'm back in it, but I have two monitors that are the same size and fairly huge, it's pretty fucking awesome. And I'm sure most of you don't give a shit. I feel like it's kind of a nerdy dork thing to be like, oh, 2 monitors. My cock is erect. Sorry. I'm going to apologize for that joke. That was too raunchy. Too sudden and too raunchy. But yeah, I'm kind of just like, oh, this is awesome and this is the best, even though one's curved and one's straight, so it looks really off. But yeah, I'm digging it, and I'm glad I'm back in the dual monitor lifestyle. It's so much better. You can have a YouTube video playing on one screen, and then whatever you're doing on the other, or have two programs working on it at the same time. I feel like I'll be able to get a lot more productive and also a lot less productive because of this dual monitor setup. We're gonna see how it goes. But yeah, that's me yammering on about shit that people don't care about. I'm gonna get into a big topic issue right now. First, I want to quickly say, I don't know if I mentioned this before. I think I already have. But man, actually I think I've mentioned this before. I'm going to say it again because I don't give a shit. I love summertime because then you can drink lemonade. Poured myself a nice tall glass of lemonade before this recording. And man, it was the dopestness. All right. Here's my big red hot button issue of the week. Better buckle down because you're about to get some ignorant shit thrown at you. Sometime earlier this week, Britain left Europe, or the European Union. I mean, they're still technically part of Europe, but they left Europe forever. So, what's the word I'm looking for? Disclaimer. I know nothing about nothing. I don't know anything about economics or social status or anything to do with Britain. But I don't give a shit. I'm going to just throw out some shit that I've been hearing on the internet because it's my uneducated opinion that I've gotten from just shit on the internet. So fucking hold on to your hats and prepare your shit because I'm about to sound super ignorant and super uneducated about a huge hot button issue. I think it is dumb that Britain left the European Union, especially because, and this could be entirely factual, this could be 100% wrong, but I feel like a majority of the people that voted to leave were just being a bunch of ignorant, I don't want to say racist assholes, but I'm going to say racist assholes because I feel like, and I've seen one of the major like campaigns for leaving the EU is to be like, no more immigrants in this place. We don't want not white people working in Britain. Let's detach so then they have to get visas and make everything harder for everyone. I don't know why I made that a song. But I don't know. That's the main sort of aspect that I've been seeing out of all this. And it just makes me so upset that from what I've been seeing, it seems just like ignorant, hateful people are voting for the wrong thing and then somehow winning. I mean, not to say that the people who wanted to remain didn't try. Like, whoever saw that, and I'm sure most of us did, it was like 48% to remain and 52% to leave. So, like, this whole thing is whack. It's ridiculous. And I also find it funny that essentially this whole thing started because one politician basically was like, hey, we're going to vote to if we want to leave the EU, but then we're all going to vote not to leave, and then I'm going to look like the bad guy. And then he fucked up, and everybody voted to leave. Well, not everybody, 52%. And then he's like, yeah, I got to quit now because I fucked up so badly. This whole thing's kind of hilarious, but also it's kind of, I don't want to say terrifying. Potentially terrifying. We'll have to see where the future takes us. But yeah, now the pound's plummeted. Kind of. I don't know how much it's going to plummet, but we're going to get some, as far as I can tell, we're going to get some shaky globalization economic shit going down. Like I said from the beginning, very uneducated opinion. But hopefully in the long run, England's able to kind of pick up their shit and get it together and fight all the immigrants in the face, because immigrants are the worst thing ever. That's the one shitty thing that I find about this is like, sure, we're not letting immigrants in anymore, or they're not, I shouldn't say we, because I don't live there, but they're not letting immigrants in anymore. They got to get visas if they want to work in the UK. But then it like works the other way too. So if you want to work somewhere in Europe, in the EU, and you live in the UK, you're kind of shit out of luck. Well, you're not shit out of luck, but you got to go through this fucking tedious shit to get a visa and whatever, whereas before you could just be like, yeah, I'm going to go work there now. Like, you're kind of cutting off a shit ton of jobs for both ways. It's kind of fucked. That's, like, the main thing I'm seeing here. But it's also funny, too, because Scotland tried or voted on their independence, what was it, like last year, I want to say? And apparently the main reason they stuck around was because of they were still part of the EU, and if they left, apparently rejoining the EU was going to be like a fucking kick in the crotch for them. So now it sounds like Scotland's like, fuck you, we're out, you fucking idiots. I think that'd be pretty awesome. The tiny little bit of Scottish blood I have in me has always been excited at the thought of Scotland getting its independence back and being like, fucking kilts and shit. I want to put on a Scottish accent as a joke right now, but I know it's going to be terrible. And I feel like I'm thinking about it too hard, and then it's just going to come out terribly. But yeah, that's my opinion on Brexit. It's very uneducated and very ignorant, so excuse me if you don't agree with me at all and you have a bunch of legitimate points as to why I'm wrong. But yeah, it also terrifies me because if Britain can vote to leave with 52% out of possibly ignorant immigration claims, then Trump might win the election for America. Why do I keep singing stuff? Anyways, yeah, it's scary because then Trump might win, and that's scary to me. Maybe not all Americans, but not this Canadian. I don't know why I said Americans. This Canadian boy doesn't want it, but whatever. We got Trudeau, and everybody loves him because he has a kissable face. That's one thing I've noticed, which is pretty hilarious. Everybody who talks about Trump is like, oh, he's such a handsome boy. I'm going to leave that topic for later. Mainly because Game of Thrones starts in a few minutes. And I have to upload this. And I'm a terrible person because I'm ending my show early-ish. So I can go watch Game of Thrones. I'm sweating like a motherfucker. And I swore a lot this episode. I'm sorry. I try to keep it clean for the most part. But it's also my show, so fucking whatever. Yuck yucka. Yeah, it's hot up here, though. So hope you have a cool week. Not a hot one. I hope you had a cool day, not a hot one. Hope you had a nice day. Hope you had a nice week. Hope you had a lovely everything. Thanks again for listening. Outro Greg, take us away. Well, folks, that's all we have for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll join us next week for whatever crazy shit we talk about. Until next time, have a good one, and peace.